What's up, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, and of course, social media world? Welcome to the live feed for episode 119 of Go Tell to the Wall podcast. If you don't know who I am your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and we've got an action-packed show for you tonight. This is the first show of 2020. That's right. After a long holiday break, we are back to full strength. Not quite. We'll get into some of that during the episode, but we're somewhat back to full strength. And kicking off the year right with a lot of new stuff coming down the pipe, some great stories, some depressing stories to be honest, but lots and lots of great stuff, and definitely some announcements. So stick around, and if you can't stick around, make sure you're subscribed and you catch up on the actual audio, or go back and watch this once it gets posted on YouTube. That being said, let's get into it. All right, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, welcome to episode 119 of Go Tell to the Wall podcast. And of course, a happy new year to everybody. This is our first podcast episode after the holiday break. That's right. I take a little bit of an extended holiday break. That, of course, depends on how everything falls, and with everything being on like Wednesdays this year, I wasn't about to get into the studio on January 2nd. So here we are on January 9th with episode 119 of Go Tell to the Wall, as I said. And we're going to get into some housekeeping stuff here. New stuff that's coming down the pipes for the new year. And I will warn everyone, I am, of course, as usual, just getting over a cold. I actually, interestingly enough, even if I wanted to record on January 2nd, I was quite sick. I was laid out on the couch. My daughter was sick like right around that same time. Now my wife's sick. This is just one of those things. It's like colds going around and everything else. Thankfully not the flu. But I'm still recovering fully. You might be able to hear that in my voice. I feel like this is a common trend. Every few episodes, Sean is sick again. And that's what happens when you have a toddler at home who likes to bring home, you know, all kinds of fun colds and sicknesses and all that good stuff. But nonetheless, we are back. Happy New Year to everyone, as I said. And looking forward to an action-packed, fun, awesome, hopefully not too depressing 2020. That's right. And of course, we always kick things off with our social plugs. That's right. You can keep up with us during episodes, after episodes, before episodes, whenever you so please, and you can do that in multiple locations. One of those places would be Twitter. Head on over to Twitter and follow our official Go Tell to the Wall Twitter account, which is @TellTheWallPod. That's right, @TellTheWallPod. You can also follow my own personal Twitter account, which is @MagicMuppet. That's right, @MagicMuppet. So if you're a Twitter user, make sure that you are following us there. That's going to keep you updated on new episodes and everything. Honestly, I don't use a lot of Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter fan. I don't like it so much. But we do post stuff for the show on there, and every once in a while, when I get all fired up, then you might find some ranting on my own personal account, which is, like I said, @MagicMuppet. Facebook, of course, we are currently live on Facebook right now with episode 119. Head on over to facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. You're going to find our official Facebook page. Make sure you like the page. You're going to get more content going through the Facebook page. We have admins on there. We have people keeping stuff in line. Actually use that kind of as one of the main social platforms when it comes to Go Tell to the Wall. So if that would definitely be one of the places to like our page. Even if you're not a huge Facebook user, that's one of the better places to keep up with everything. And of course, YouTube. Head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell to the Wall, subscribe to our channel, make sure you like our videos. That's where you're going to find all of our beer reviews, all of our mental health clips and our parenting clips, full live feeds from all of the episodes. Every episode that's had a live feed, all of them are on YouTube there, so make sure you're subscribed to our Go Tell It to the Wall YouTube channel. More info, more announcements on that coming shortly. And if you remember none of those things, none of them, definitely remember SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That's actually your one-stop shop for everything. You're going to find links to those platforms I just mentioned, as well as stuff you won't find anywhere else, like our blog posts, photos, videos, all kinds of good stuff on SeanO'RourkeLive.com. You're also going to find a link to our Patreon campaign or Patreon page. Become a patron. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a way to support kind of lesser-known artists, broadcasters, influencers, in finger quotes, of course, who, people that aren't working for one of the big companies. That's the place to do it. So even if you're not on there supporting Go Tell It to the Wall, which you should. Every dollar helps. You can get some great perks. You can get to a point where your name is literally up on the wall here in the studio. But even if you're not going to support us, head on over there. Support some artists that are putting out content for you, entertaining you on a daily basis, and help them out as much as you can. Not everyone can do this, but if you can, please help us out, help others out. Patreon is a great place to do that. And Instagram. I've been doing this like every other episode, but if you want to follow my own personal Instagram account, that would be SoCal Sean. I have to remember all these things. I'm like, what? It's not Magic Muppet. SoCal Sean is my own personal Instagram account. Go ahead and follow that if you're an Instagram user and all that good stuff. You're gonna find lots of photos of my kid, as well as concerts and kind of ridiculous stuff that I get into on a weekly, monthly, daily, whatever basis. So if you're into that, follow us there too. And another announcement coming up on that shortly here. Beer this week. That's right, beer this week. I was very excited to find this one in the store, finally. I feel like we were kind of sitting on number 13 for a long time. And I even said this to my wife. I was like, 13's been out for a long time. And finally, I'm at the store the other day, and we have, from Firestone Walker, that's right, from Central Coast Firestone Walker, this is Luponic Distortion number 14. Firestone Walker is absolutely one of my favorite breweries around, especially being there in the Central Coast. They make the 805, which is very popular. But this is a limited brew that they do. Basically, they make a new one, they sell it till it's gone, and then when it's gone, they make another new one. And they've gotten to 14 of these so far. We've had a few of them on the podcast, at least 2 others, and probably in the beer reviews as well. But Luponic Distortion, it's an IPA series. This is number 14. So if you're not into IPAs, you're probably not going to love this. But I will be honest, it's not a super hoppy, bitter IPA. It's definitely lighter, a little smoother. This is probably one that our very own Chris Hassan could actually drink and not hate, not yell at me for giving it to him. So keep that in mind. It's sitting at 5.9% alcohol content, which is pretty typical for Luponic Distortion. I believe all of them come in at 5.9. They do that on purpose, I imagine. But get your hands on this. Number 14 just came out in the past week or so, because I head to the store quite often, and I'm not always buying beer, but I'm always perusing beer to see what's new, what we can maybe have on the podcast, what we can have on beer reviews, and what I can just enjoy myself, depending on the occasion. And this one, really, it just came out in the past week, maybe week and a half. So grab some of that Luponic Distortion. Probably a little more difficult to find if you're not on the West Coast. I'll be honest about that. But if you can get your hands on it, do so. Firestone Walker, Luponic Distortion. So tasty. Oh, and this one, they always do this flavors through hops. This one has hints of white grape, mandarin orange, and passion fruit. That's right. I think it was number 13, either 13 or 12, had creamsicle like flavoring to it. Not overly fruity, because if you listen to podcasts and you've been a follower for a while, you know that I'm not into the super fruity. I don't like a lot of sweetness in my beer. I don't want to taste like I'm drinking juice with some beer in it. So it's not fruity like that, but you do get a little hint there. Probably makes it a little smoother for the non-IPA fans. So check them out. Big fan of Firestone Walker. Especially the Luponic Distortion. But they have all kinds of tasty beers. If you can get your hands on any limited Firestone Walker brews, just pick them up right away, because it's going to be tasty no matter what. And of course, 805 that's a great beer you can pretty much drink like all day. You start drinking at noon, and you can keep drinking 805 until like midnight. I mean, I'm not talking, one after the other, but it's a nice, tasty, light, blonde ale, and it'll get you through a day for sure. All right, we've got some announcements for 2020, for the new year. I'm going to get so tired saying 2020, 2020. It doesn't roll off the tongue as well as 2019, 2008, all this other stuff. But here we are in 2020. I'm actually wearing my Bring On 2020 shirt. For those of you that aren't actually watching on the live feed, this was a special shirt actually put out by the Barstool Preachers. And I'm not going to stand up here for people on the live feed, but on the back it does say, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." So I will be wearing this quite often throughout the next year, in the hopes that we have some change here, especially in November of 2020, but just change overall, for the love of God. I mean, I don't know how much more ridiculous it can get, to be honest with everyone out there. We're just that's the point we're at. But I digress. New for 2020, that's right. Excuse me, I'm still fighting. I got a little scratchy throat and everything else. It's part of the game, having a kid at home. But man, I even said the other day, I was like, every few weeks I just get another little cold, and I'm not laid out or anything. Unfortunately, my father came down with pneumonia like a week ago. He's getting better now. So it's not like that bad, but it's just I pick up these little colds. Like every few weeks, I'm like, oh, wake up, oh, there's another little cold I got, and that's just part of having a kid. And my kid doesn't even go to daycare. That's what's crazy. Like I have friends whose kids go to daycare, and their kids are just sick all the time. Like this time of year, they're just sick. You know. All right, new for 2020, new for 2020, new for the new year. That's right. Got a few things coming down the pipes, and these are all coming over the next month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, depending what they are. And a couple of them I've teased for a while, but these are things that are finally ready and set, and they're going to be heading your way, kind of coming out over the next couple weeks, so keep that in mind. One of those is going to be Mental Health Mondays. I don't know if this next Monday is going to be the first one, but it will be within the next 2 weeks, within the next 2 Mondays. Mental Health Mondays is something I've talked about for the past few months, and I've been trying to get it together. And as you know, we focus a lot on mental health and mental illness and trying to erase that stigma, and really me talking about my own personal experiences, which we're going to do a little bit today when we get to mental health. And I've wanted to really keep consistency with that outside of just the podcast. Because I know a lot of people out there don't listen to podcasts, and even if you want to get a little bit of information on mental illness and mental health, maybe you don't want to listen to an hour-long podcast just to get that, 5, 10, 15 minutes of mental health, segment, information, whatever it might be, my own personal experiences. So what we're going to do is every Monday, there's going to be a Mental Health Monday video that's going up. It's going to be a couple minutes long, and it's going to talk either about something pertaining to, current events that can be tied into mental health and mental illness, my own personal experiences, or real other people's personal experiences that they want to share with me, and then I can talk about whatever it might be. This is going to be a regular Monday thing where we talk about mental health and mental illness and continuing to eliminate that stigma. And I'm happy to say that, like, if I could go back to Sean 10 years ago and really just show him a snippet of how much better it is nowadays, and how many other people are working to erase that stigma and making it okay for people to talk about their mental illness, that 10 years ago Sean would have been just ecstatic. So as much as I say we're trying to erase that stigma completely, and there's still problems. Don't get me wrong, it's not gone, but the strides that we have made over the past 5, 10, even 15, really 5, 10 years, it's just astronomical. And that's all because of not even people like me, yes, me, but I'm not going to sit here and give myself credit. I'm talking about people that are much more well-known than myself. I am just a drop in the bucket compared to many other people out there that have used their platform and their influence to raise awareness around mental illness and mental health. And to everyone out there that's done that, and everyone out there that continues to do it, here's to you, and we're going to continue to fight that fight in 2020 and continue to grow, because despite the fact that we've made strides over the past few years, we still have a long way to go when it comes to understanding mental illness and people not looking down on others when it comes to mental health and mental illness, and knowing that it's okay. That's the main thing. It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's tough, but it's going to be okay. So Mental Health Mondays coming your way definitely in the next 2 weeks, and that's going to be a regular Monday thing. We'll probably miss some now and then, but that's going to be a regular Monday thing. Oh, and Instagram. I know, I just gave out my own personal Instagram account to everyone if you want to follow, but we are going to launch an official Go Tell It to the Wall Instagram account. That one is coming over the next month or so. Honestly, I'll probably launch it in the next week, but it's really populating all that stuff. The thing with a podcast and a broadcasting base like we do, there's not a lot to put on Instagram. I'm not a hot model standing on the beach showing my ass off to everyone. I don't have... I'm not artistic and all this other stuff. I used to think I was artistic when it came to photography. No. That was just film school Sean thinking he was artistic. So, nonetheless, we are going to put out an Instagram account because I know a lot of people really prefer you to use Instagram. So we'll use that for a lot of the studio shots. We'll possibly get our producers on there as well. I've actually got a bunch of photos, and so we're just going to start populating that stuff to Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. I'll announce it over the next month or so. I'll probably announce it in a couple weeks, but it's going to be a month or so until we're actually populating that stuff. So look forward to a Go Tell It to the Wall Instagram account. Speaking of new stuff coming out, new blogs. If you head on over to SeanWillWorkLive.com, you're going to find some blogs up there, and I've had some stuff literally sitting on the server, and it's just a matter of getting it all up there. So we have some new blog posts coming your way, as well as some new blog topics that are coming your way this year, so keep an eye out for that. And if you're interested in reading you don't like watching the videos, you don't like listening, again, SeanO'RourkeLive.com houses all of our blog posts. New Patreon perks. I mentioned the Patreon campaign, the Patreon thing that we have, the Patreon page. There's going to be some new perks coming your way. For those of you that are already patrons, most likely just going to be throwing some perks right at your face. Here you go. Here's some perks. You already got them. You've been supporting us for a long time. And for those that aren't patrons yet, it's going to hopefully motivate some more of you to become patrons with the new perks that are coming your way. And one of those perks is definitely going to be some of the new sticker designs. We have some new sticker designs coming your way. This one, very early. Definitely don't start looking for the new sticker designs over the next couple weeks. That's going to be a few months, but in 2020, in the new year, we have some new sticker designs coming your way. So look forward to all those things. These are new things coming your way for the new year, and that's in addition to the usual stuff that we do. You're going to see the beer reviews. You're going to see specific clips. You're going to see the weekly rant clips, which are all housed on YouTube if you don't actually catch them during the live feed or on the audio. All that's still going to be updated and living in there. In fact, I want to, this is just off the top of my head, I want to say there's 30 videos sitting in the hopper that just need to go up onto the YouTube channel, and I just don't have, I have a 3-year-old at home. It's very difficult to, I really could use an intern. The problem is most schools aren't going to give me an intern. They're like, you talk about what? No, you cannot have an intern. I was never an intern myself, so I can't sit here and be like, oh, those poor interns. I don't know what it's like. You know, I mean, I worked on some sets for free when I was a film student, but I never interned at like a, office or anything. I just went straight into the marketing industry there right after school. All right. Next thing we're going to get into is the weekly rant for episode 119. Now, this one, I'm not even going to get as fired up as you might expect, but I feel like this needs to be talked about. And it's really become apparent over the past week or so, just from everyone, and this pertains to many different things. But I'm just going to give you examples that I see in life. And really, this is taking joy in other people's misery. Taking joy in other people's misery. And one example of this is we are in the NFL playoffs right now. You may not be a football fan, but the playoffs are happening right now. And a lot of people, and this is just one example, but a lot of people like to talk shit to other fans about sports teams, to the point where it can just be like mean and downright ridiculous. So, where you look at it and you're like, you're really taking more joy in another team not doing well than you are in the team that you're supposed to be cheering for doing well. And this is just one example. This has also become very apparent in the political landscape over the past week or so, with the Orange Menace deciding to launch attacks and everything else that's happening out there. I've seen this on social media quite a bit, and I've seen people saying, like, I don't care, and literally, and this is not an exact quote, but literally saying something along these lines, I don't care if what he's doing isn't right, it's pissing off the libs. This is what I've seen. It's pissing off. So really, it's not important to you that the country gets to a good place. It's not important to you that we do the right thing as a country. What's important to you is upsetting other people because they are different from you, because their views are different from yours. There's never an excuse for this. There just isn't. And it comes down to pop culture, too. It really does. Pop culture is the same thing. Don't sit there and just shit on someone else because you don't like what they like. And we're going to get into that more in one of our next weekly rants. But it's the joy in other people's misery. And yeah, you can say, well, there's all these YouTube videos of people getting hurt and stuff. Even that's ridiculous. I don't think you should be watching that stuff. But really, just take joy in your own joy. Don't look at other people and how they're suffering and take joy from that, period. And it's funny because I was actually thinking about this today. And I was like, well, where are there reasons to take joy in something? And I thought about it, where other people would be miserable. And a great example of this is abortion laws in this country. There are many Christians out there, Catholics out there, that are very much against abortion. And I'm not going to get into my own views on abortion. I've talked about it. I don't have a uterus. I don't have the right to even discuss abortion. I don't know what that's like. I don't have the right, and I 100% support a woman's right to take care of her own body. So that's an example of maybe where an entire group of people is going to be really upset, and maybe you could sit there and say, well, this is right. Women should have the right, should control the rights over their own bodies. But we still don't need to be happy that this other group is miserable. Do you see the difference there? We can be happy that women have the right to do this thing in most states, have the right to control their bodies in most states. But even being happy about that shouldn't be you pointing fingers at other people and saying, ha ha ha, you're miserable. I'm happy that you're sad. You should never be happy that someone is sad. Now take it back to sports. You can be slightly happy and another, your team beat your friend's team and they're a little sad and you're happy, but you're not happy because they're sad. That's the difference. You're happy because your team won. And in fact, in the back of your head, maybe you feel a little sad that your friend isn't quite as happy as you are. I have friends that are Yankees fans. I don't take joy in the Yankees losing. Maybe a little bit jokingly. I don't take joy in it, though. Not at all. And I would hope that everyone out there will think about this the next time that you're going to put some... Because you might say, ha ha ha, I'm just making it... It's not always a joke. It isn't. Someone else being sad never should make you happy. Never. Maybe other reasons are making you happy, but not someone else being sad and or miserable, downtrodden, whatever it might be. This really goes back to mental health, too. Think about that when you're making fun of somebody. Think about that. Is it really important? Is it really important to put someone down? What are you getting out of that? It's like the old saying, putting someone else down doesn't lift yourself up. It doesn't. So keep that in mind, wall fans and common sensors. Because if we hit a point where people can stop taking joy in other people's misery, then we'll be better, we'll do better, and we will get better in the long run. And I know we can hit that point. So let's get there. Absolutely. Hey, John. We got John Ford on the live feed here. It's a very quiet live feed this week. I think everyone's still recovering from the holidays. Or they're all sick, like my wife and like I have been for the past few days. But let's move on to some trending on social here. That's right. Yeah, see, I'm just not 100%, but we got to get in the studio. And especially because I didn't even announce it at the top of the show. We're missing a show next week. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. We're missing a show next week. My wife's going to be in China. So there's all those videos that I was talking about that need to be posted. That's probably coming over the next week or so because we will not have a full episode, but there will be some new content coming for you. Nonetheless, trending on social for this week for episode 119, we've got some ridiculous ones. Some funny ones and some ridiculous ones. And this one, I feel like I'm a little bit behind on this, but I'm noticing that it's popping up a lot more again, despite the fact that this trend really took off like a year or two ago. And this is the iPhone Pinch Challenge. Of course it's iPhones because everyone just assumes everyone has iPhones. I don't have an iPhone. Remember, not everyone has an iPhone. So it's really a smartphone pinch challenge, but of course it's called the iPhone Pinch Challenge. And what people are doing, if you're not familiar with this, they're holding their iPhone by like two fingers, and they'll hold it over like a ledge. They'll hold it over something and see how long they can hold it. Honestly, I don't even understand the challenge aspect of this if it's supposed to be a certain amount of time. I saw one pop up in my feed the other day, and it looked like two different people holding their iPhones like out over a balcony, which, so I don't know if there's a time limit or whatever it is. However, I do know that this is one of the dumbest fucking things that you're ever going to see on the fucking internet. And not because... I always talk about these dumb challenges, and there's dumb challenges where people can get hurt. The Tide Pod Challenge, there's dumb challenges where other people can get hurt. There's great challenges where you're raising money and awareness for people, like the Ice Bucket Challenge. But this one is just downright insulting. That's what this is. And there's too many. This is just one example of videos out there where people are just destroying expensive things. And you might say, what do you mean it's insulting, Sean? You know why it's insulting? And take it from someone who grew up not having a lot of money. If smartphones and all this technology existed when Sean was a teenager, when this Sean was a teenager, I'd have had none of it. There would have been none of it in my house. We just wouldn't have been able to afford it. So now you have these kids, even young adults, seeing people on social platforms, on YouTube, whatever it might be, holding their $1,000 iPhone. I don't know what iPhones cost these days, so I'm sure, don't correct me, $500 to $1,000. I mean, smartphones cost that much, for the love of God. Holding it over a ledge, and then eventually, most likely, the thing gets broken. In fact, some of the ones that I pulled up today, because I was curious, and I was trying to see how far back it went, and it is a few years. Most of it's like iPhone Pinch Challenge fail. Most of them are fail. So this iPhone is broken. broken. And this is like lighting a fire with a $50 bill, except much more extreme. You know, you see, like the rich villain on all the movies and television shows and stuff. The ones lighting their cigar with a $20 bill or whatever it might have been. Those were the villains. We didn't think that was cool. We saw how stupid that was, and that's what's happening here. Let me just drop this $1,000 over the ledge of a balcony for no reason. No reason. For views, that's fine. Because, trust me, we're going to talk about that shortly when we get to TV, film, and books. Yeah, get your views way up there. All those views. Not going to replace your iPhone. Come on now. And I'm going to love it if Apple is, like, sponsoring somebody. They're just, like, sending out iPhones. Please, put our iPhones on more of these, like, YouTube channels or whatever. Ugh, I just don't get it. It's just dumb. All right, hashtag for work show and tell. Hashtag for work show and tell. This is a hashtag that's flying around right now on the social platform. I cannot find my cursor. There it is. And some people were kind of ridiculous with this, and some were really funny. My first thought was like, what would you bring to for work show and tell? And someone posted a new version of rock, paper, scissors. They're obviously referring to the Big Bang Theory rock, paper, scissors, something Spock, lizard Spock. Yeah, that just came from the back of my brain from years ago when I watched some Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory's over. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and say everyone needs to watch Big Bang Theory. Just I think it harkens to that. So people are having fun with this. I do love the slide projector with people coming in to work with a big slide projector and then showing slides. Everyone had that relative where you went to their house and suddenly you're watching an hour and a half's worth of their Hawaiian vacation, whatever it might have been. But of course, this got me thinking. So check out this hashtag if you're interested. But since I'm at work, I'm in my studio, I'm going to do a little show and tell. And I just want to show off my brand new Mr. Robot masked Elliot Funko Pop. That's right, Mr. Robot ended during the holiday break. Good Lord. I still I can't comprehend enough to talk and dissect it with you. But my wife was kind enough to get me this bad boy for Christmas. Limited edition, too. I don't know. It's from like 2017. She actually had to track it down a bit. So I'm going to show and tell that, as well as this book I'm going to show and tell when we get to parenting. So check that one out. I think people are just having fun with it. This one I definitely enjoyed fully, because this is kind of my life and speaks to my daily life. But I think it also speaks to a lot of stuff you see out there on social platforms. And this is hashtag realistic relationship goals. That's right. Hashtag realistic relationship goals. And people are sharing all kinds of stuff today. And it just, I think this is something to keep in mind. And the reason I like this is you see a lot of stuff on social platforms from couples. I mean, we have famous couples, you know, they're famous, they're famous, you know, influencers for posting photos of their great vacations and all this stuff and how happy their home life is. Here's the thing, wall fans and common sensors, if you're not familiar with this, most likely that is not their daily life. In fact, if you remember a couple months ago, I talked about a woman who went on a honeymoon with her husband, her new husband. They had just gotten married, and the husband hated it because the wife spent the entire honeymoon going around trying to get the perfect shot, getting dressed up, just to take photos, like on the beach and all these other places. And that's why I really like this hashtag realistic relationship goals, because that's not how relationships are. It's not what you see on all these posts and all this other stuff. I always enjoy, like, I see that people post, they'll have the same damn pose and face and everything, and I just want to be like, just act normal. Just act normal. It's okay. We understand that not everything is picture perfect for everyone, and if everything is picture perfect for you, honestly, if you're sitting back and you're like, yeah, everything's picture perfect, I live that life that I'm seeing on Instagram, get help. Get help. Because part of life is, not everything is perfect. That's also one of the beautiful things about life. Not everything is perfect. Shit, look at this podcast. I sit here and yell at a wall for an hour. Yeah, there's probably 10 minutes of good stuff, good content out of that hour. I would hope people laugh twice out of that hour. That's real life. It can't all be gold. It can't all be great. Hashtag realistic relationship goals. My realistic relationship goals are getting my wife off the couch before midnight to get into bed, because that's something that happens in my house quite a bit. And then what happens is she'll fall asleep on the couch in my house, and I'll sit there and I'm just not even watch anything important on television. I'll be like, all right, 5 more minutes, and I'm gonna get her up, and we're gonna go to bed. 5 minutes later, I'm asleep on the couch. So realistic relationship goals is actually getting into bed before falling asleep on the couch, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to that. I know this is it's a common thing. Everyone likes to fall asleep on the couch, and I enjoy it, but I have a 3-year-old. I can't do that. Sometimes I wake up on the couch at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what is happening? You know, well, I did that in my 20s, and it was like, oh yeah, no, let me just go to. Now I'm like, whoa, what day is it? How long have I been asleep? Where is my kid? And then 5 minutes later, I realized, like, oh no, it's 2 in the morning. My kid's asleep. I should be in bed. That's realistic relationship goals. Hashtag ruin 2020 in 4 words. This one's easy. This is hilarious. And I'm going to caution you with checking this one out. Is the hashtag ruin 2020 in 4 words. Because remember, there's a lot of ignorant people on social platforms as well. There's a lot of informed people, well-informed people on social platforms. There's a lot of ignorant people. Sometimes there have been so many times where and that's why I don't enjoy Twitter. I'll go down the Twitter hole once in a while and I'll see what people are saying about something, and I'm like, oh God. Like, seriously. And that's the one that got me the other day, and I'll share this one with everyone. That's the one that got me the other day. Is like, it was something about, the U.S. possibly going to war with Iran. And there was a discussion on this, and it was actually not too bad, and people were like, because there's like, yay, military, all this. But I'm like, just scrolling through, I'm like, la da da da, and then I see someone, and someone's like, oh, at least he didn't hide all his emails on a private server. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? People are dying. We're possibly going to war, and you're worried about fucking emails. Like, how is that even still a thing? But that's the kind of ignorance you get on social platforms. So keep that in mind when you're looking at hashtag ruin 2020 in 4 words, because you're going to get a lot of people ruining your 2020. I did enjoy this one, clearly from probably a teenager. Hashtag ruin 2020 in 4 words. We have school tomorrow. That does ruin 2020. But of course, I want to share the simplest one with you, and I can't believe I haven't seen it here. Ruin 2020 in 4 words. Trump is still president. Ruined. And unless he somehow gets impeached, we're dealing with him for most of 2020 until, I hope to God, hope to Allah, hope to whatever thing is out there. I'm not a religious person, that we are done with him by November 2020 at the latest. Well, I mean, I know, but we're done with him. People are going to be like, well, new president doesn't get inaugurated. I get it, but it's just the hope of knowing that we're done with him. Like, cool, please go somewhere, just never to be seen again. And then, of course, I'm just going to just go through these quick, because if you're interested in checking these out, these are more educational. Hashtag Trump's war of mass distraction. And I'll tell you, if you're not familiar with this, with what's going on, you should be familiar with what's going on. But go look at his old tweets. There's always a tweet. There is always a freaking tweet for the stuff that he does. There is a tweet for this one as well. And then, of course, also hashtag no war with Iran. People are sharing their thoughts on a possible war with Iran. And as you know, we don't get political. I'm not going to get into... I know things have been very fluid over the past couple days, but this is people sharing their opinions. And there's obviously a lot of support for... This is going to sound weird. This is definitely grammatically incorrect. There's a lot of support for not going to war with Iran, which that part is very hopeful and very heartening to see from other people, because there are people out there. Like I said, when I was talking about taking joy in other people's misery, I literally saw people on social platforms that were happy we're going to war because it's upsetting liberals. And it's like, what? So just let's kill all those soldiers as long as a couple people who are liberal cry. Like, really? Really? I know. That's not how things work. Be a decent human being. All right, TV, film, and books. That's right, TV, film, and books. I think we're going to go a little short tonight, only because I can feel my voice is not fully here, and I can feel it kind of straining a little. The Luponic Distortion is definitely helping. That's such a tasty beer. TV, film, books, Mallrats 2. We have talked about this before. Mallrats 2, we have yet more information regarding Mallrats 2. Kevin Smith has apparently written a new script for Mallrats 2. The sequel to Mallrats is something that's been in and out of development for years. In fact, I should be able to say this now. Yeah, it doesn't matter now. When I was at Universal in 2015, I worked for Universal Pictures marketing. We actually, they had Mallrats 2 on the slate because if you're familiar with Kevin Smith's work, Mallrats was actually a Universal release. It's weird, the different releases, especially on the Jersey trilogy. Like, you literally can't buy the Jersey trilogy altogether because they're two or three different studios. It's at least two. It's Universal and Miramax, but I think there's a third, Lionsgate. There's a third studio in there. You can't buy them all together, like, because they're different studios. So Universal had this on their calendar at one point. That fell through. It was going to be a television show at one point. That kind of fell through, but now it looks like Kevin Smith has literally written a new script. Oh man, where is Chris? I'm blanking on very Vacation, and I'm just blanking on the John Hughes. A la John Hughes, he wrote it over the course of like 2 days and has constantly been doing some rewrites on it here. It seems to have some increased interest from what I can see, and I think this really goes to speak to Kevin Smith's talent, really, and his talent is debatable. You know, we're talking about pee and fart jokes. Like, I get it. He's very crude. I personally really love Kevin Smith, but I'm not going to argue with anyone that says I don't like Kevin Smith, because it's not for everyone. But it really speaks to his talent and his, not longevity, but his persistence. Because we're talking about the guy that made Clerks just on his own dime, and then took it out festivals, and then that took off. And now with Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, the reboot that came out, he took that on tour, and I'm seeing some increased interest in stuff like Mallrats, Clerks 3, which it's in development right now. And I think a lot of that is because of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So it's really good on you, Kevin Smith. He's out there hustling for what he loves to do and taking his intellectual property and continuing to put it out there and having some success with it. And I'm not going to sit here and say, obviously you have the Michael Bays and the Steven Spielbergs of the world, but good on Kevin Smith for being able to continue this and continue telling his stories. And obviously he has a fan base, myself included. I'm one of them. I've got a giant Jay figure here it's a Jay and Silent Bob figure. It's signed by Jason Mewes. There's all kinds of stuff all around the studio here because I am a big Kevin Smith fan. All right, Hustlers. You guys familiar with this film? I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with this. Jennifer Lopez and some others. This was all about the strippers who drugged wealthy men and then would run up their credit cards at the strip club, and specifically Scores there in New York. And I chuckle because I remember listening to, I want to say it was Howard Stern, but one of those New York radio shows, and every once in a while Scores would come up and be like, what is that? Like, because I don't think I've been to a strip club in New York. I've really only been to strip clubs in Southern California and Vegas, and one other city that is international that I don't really like to remember that I've been to strip clubs there. I wouldn't recommend it. Grew up in San Diego, so you can figure that one out. But Hustlers film, there's a lawsuit against the makers of this film, including Jennifer Lopez, who's a producer on it. And apparently there was a real person, Samantha Barbash, no, don't mean to be insulting, who this was based on. And you would say loosely based on, we talked about this before, and people are like, that was my idea, Stranger Things just went through this, like the Duffer Brothers and stuff. And usually there's you don't have much of a leg to stand on. This is a $40 million lawsuit coming out against the makers of Hustlers. But I will say, and this is why I bring this up, because I'm going to follow this. I'll be really interested. Apparently, the producers had sent this Samantha Barbish a consent and waiver, essentially like releasing and giving the okay to use things similar to her life, and then she didn't sign it, and then they went ahead and made the movie. So because of that, I think it's going to have a little bit of teeth to it. Although, as most people who follow these kind of film industry lawsuits, I'm sure, John, you know very well, they don't amount to much, but maybe we'll see something here. Now, this one I really enjoyed. If you need another reason to love Golden Girls, that's right. I was never a big Golden Girls fan, but everyone loves Golden Girls. And I guess it was a big thing. I watched it a little bit, but was never a huge fan. But if you need another reason to love it, apparently Quentin Tarantino was on the Golden Girls years and years and years and years ago. He actually played an Elvis impersonator. I don't know if the four women went to Vegas, whatever it was, played an Elvis impersonator. And apparently this was one of the most popular Golden Girls episodes, got placed into like some best of Golden Girls box sets, DVD sets. and then, of course, was in syndication like crazy. So Quentin Tarantino did not make a lot of money off the original airing, but continued to make residual money off of that airing, you know, and syndication and everything else, and box sets, to the point where he was making not a ton of money, but a few $1,000s. He actually took that money and flipped it into helping to finish Reservoir Dogs. That's right, his first big film, not his first film. If you've ever seen Tarantino's first film, oh God, it's hilarious. It's terrible, and it's hilarious, and it's from when he was in film school. But his first big film, Reservoir Dogs, thanks to Golden Girls, that was able to be completed. Thanks to Golden Girls and his residual checks from Golden Girls. Nice little tidbit there for you. And like I said, if you need another reason to love Golden Girls, there you go. Now, I alluded to this a little bit when I was talking about people getting all these likes and stuff, and that doesn't translate to a lot of things. College Humor. Everyone is familiar with this channel, this site, whatever it is. They've been doing this for 20 years. So we were talking like pre-YouTube, College Humor was doing great things, funny things on the internet. We find out this week that they've had a bunch of layoffs. At least 100 people have been laid off, and it looks like they're down to basically only a couple people on staff at College Humor. 20 years of putting out popular videos on the internet, and they basically have not closed up shop. The brand will still exist, but they're not going to make videos like they were making before. And you might say, that's crazy. 20 years, they were so successful. Here's the interesting thing. If you read the interviews from the head of College Humor, I don't have his name right in front of me. Sorry, College Humor guy. If you look at the interviews, he actually points out they've been around for 20 years. They weren't profitable yet, but they were getting close to the point of being profitable. 20 years. College Humor. Most people know what College Humor is. They were not profitable for 20 years. Think about that. And that's a good thing to put into perspective when it comes to you're looking enviously at these couples and their relationship. You're like, relationship goals and all this other stuff, and people putting in all this time to take these photos and travel everywhere. They're not making a lot of money. Yes, some people do make money. But here we have a very successful channel, College Humor. It wasn't profitable for 20 years. It's crazy to think about that. It really is crazy to think about that. 20 years. And College Humor is gone. That's why we keep a very, very small staff here. And that's why I have 2 producers that I don't pay any money. That keeps us profitable. And we're not... I think we're technically profitable. But any profits go straight into the podcast. I mean, that's the thing. Like, oh, we got a little extra money. Oh, we need new stuff for the studio. That's what happens every damn time. I'm not even kidding. Every damn time. So all your patrons out there, the money's going straight into the studio. And trust me, Chris and Bridget have yet to be paid. I mean, they've been paid in beer and whiskey, but they've yet to be paid. So, and I have yet to be paid. I don't really take a paycheck. It all just goes into this. It's all right here. And I use it for my branding to then go make money doing live events. That's what people always ask me. They're like, oh, you have a podcast? Like, how's that go? Do you make a lot? I'm like, no, not really. I don't make a lot of money. It's branding for the stuff that I really make money with. I make a little bit of money off the podcast, but it's branding for when I go to parties and events and stuff and people pay me, $200 to talk to them for 30 minutes. It's fantastic. Yeah, that's where the money's at, people. Like, do some hustling. Do some hustling. There's Chris. Chris, welcome. First show of 2020. Chris Hassan, our on-air producer, stats and information person. Glad you could join. We actually started on time tonight. I know it's weird. It's weird. And Chris, you would like this luponic distortion. I keep doing that. Luponic distortion? Distortion. Chris, I'm going to save you one of these because I got to get your opinion on it. Di didn't hate it. My wife didn't hate it. Chris and my wife are... Chris likes a little more beer, but does not like the hoppiness. And my wife is kind of in a similar boat. So I use them as my guinea pigs a lot of times. Works out well. All right. Marvel. Marvel. Actually, Chris is probably going to correct me on something here. I think he knew Marvel was coming and jumped on the live feed. Kevin Feige in talks with ABC on a new Marvel show, which is interesting because we were under the impression that all the Marvel shows were going over to Disney Plus, and then the few that still live. I just got done watching the new Runaways. Yes, I am cheesy. I like the corny shows, and I watched all 10 episodes of the Runaways while we were on holiday break. That one's still on Hulu. But we thought they were all coming to Disney Plus, and now apparently there's going to be a new show coming to ABC. Nothing confirmed yet, but Marvel is in talks with ABC. This is my favorite, and I dealt with this at Disney for 8 years. John could say the same thing. He's worked in this industry where it's like, wait, Marvel's talking to ABC, but you, all right, same company, guys. And I understand. Like, I'm not getting into semantics on it. It's just, it always amuses me. And I would do the same thing, and it'd be like, you know, my VP would come in and be like, oh, we're gonna go have a meeting with ABC Family. It's like, or we're gonna go pitch ABC Family. Meeting is one thing. We're gonna go pitch ABC Family. Pitch them what? Don't they just have to take it? It doesn't work that way. It's interesting. 6 minutes. Yes, this one I'm excited about. Chris, I'm glad you're here. 6 minutes by our very Oh, we got a new director on Doctor Strange too. Thank you, John. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. I saw something coming out with Doctor Strange, and that must have been it, and I just didn't catch up with it. I was so ingrained in all this other stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff coming out of Marvel. It's interesting. Marvel is getting interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting couple of years, and I don't mean interesting in a bad way. I just think we're going to see some shifts with Marvel, and not negative shifts, just kind of shifts in how they do things and how things are coming out. Because they've been wildly successful, but you not reboot is not the right word, but kind of retool. You got to keep things exciting. Like the Ninja Turtles. Look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been exciting since I was a kid. You know, and then it's up and down, but they are once again wildly successful on Nickelodeon. And you know, very different from the Ninja Turtles that were around when I was a kid. All very, very different from the comic book Ninja Turtles. But 6 minutes, yes, from our very own. I can't say our very own, but from she's a patron. She's a big supporter of the show, Joey Isabel. And as you know, we have been supporting 6 minutes. Go Tell It to the Wall financially supported 6 minutes. The short film that was being done, and we supported the Kickstarter. It's actually finished now. It had been shot, oh my gosh, months ago. Chris actually worked on the actual production of it, but it's now fully shot and done. I will tell you, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. We cannot share it yet. Some people have seen it, but I will tell you an update on it. It is going to most likely go into the Tribeca Film Festival, and I'll keep everyone updated on that as we go along and we get more information from Joey. But congratulations to Joey especially, but also to everyone involved with 6 minutes. Cheers to you, and I hope that we see a lot more coming of this, because the concept is fantastic. The production value is fantastic, and I want to see this take off, definitely. So congrats to all of you, and to our very own Chris Asong, who worked on the production. Oh man, Green Day. All right, we got one more thing in TV, film, and books, and we're running short on time. I thought we were gonna have a short show. We ain't gonna have a short show because we gotta get into some mental health and some parenting. Green Day. They got a new album coming out in a month. Oh, I think it's February 7th, so just under a month. They got a new album coming out. Well, apparently, and actually a new song coming out next week. So for Green Day fans, especially if you've already pre-ordered the album, new song coming out next week. New single from Green Day. Oh yeah, no, Chris, maybe I don't have the final cut. I have the cut that Joey sent to all of us, Chris. But Green Day, new album coming out in February. Billy Joe actually jumped on, I believe it was Twitter. It was either Twitter or Instagram. And again, I don't follow all these platforms. I do follow Billy Joe here and there. Jumped on one of those and apparently pointed out that they were looking for a big venue for their album release party and hoping to find someone that has a large backyard, a large garage, or a large barn for them to throw a gigantic album release party where they will of course be playing tunes. For those of you not familiar with and I guess I can't say this for every genre of music, but in the punk rock, the ska, alternative world, album release party it's a concert for the most part. You know, it's them release party concert. I've been to a lot of album release parties over my career as a crappy punk rock fan. And so that's what they're looking for. We don't know if this is serious. They haven't put anything out for people to apply for this. I'll tell you, if my backyard was big enough, there is a stipulation. It has to be in California, obviously, because Green Day is from California. I would imagine they're looking for some Northern California. They're from the East Bay. They're in Northern California. But if you've got a big backyard, reach out to Billy Joe Armstrong there and see if you can host a Green Day album release party in your backyard. Because I'll tell you, if my backyard was like a little bit bigger, I'd be emailing them like crazy right now. Problem is, I got a big backyard, but I got a bunch of crap back there. Like, they just need like a big field. I got a deck and a bar and an outdoor fireplace and a driveway, and it's just, there's too much stuff back there for me to do something like that. I could host an album release party for a smaller band. Green Day, the band that is headlining a stadium tour, yeah, probably can't play in my backyard. Oh, that was the final cut. Yeah, Chris, I did see the final cut. It's fantastic, and I'm eager to see it do well. Really am, and we're going to continue promoting 6 minutes, and especially once we can share the short itself, the actual film, then we'll be doing that. But that's going to be a little ways down the line once we get word from Joey, and actually Chris will probably also. It'll be like, oh no, we can share it now. All right, moving on to some mental health. I want to talk a little bit about the term high functioning. We are running short on time, so I'm going to save part of this. But I want to talk about high functioning mental illness. This is something I found recently, and someone had written a blog post, really, and a lot of people have jumped on it. The term high functioning mental illness, someone that is high functioning but has mental illness. This is a very common term. It's also something that I have used over my years. I am someone that would be considered high functioning, a mental illness, but having a mental illness but being high functioning. Obviously, the fact that I can sit here and do this for an hour would somewhat make me high functioning. But this blog post, and a lot of other people have pointed out, based on that, how this can be insulting to some people. And at first I was like, what do you mean it can be insulting to some people? And there's a couple things to unpack here. Now, the first thing would be, just at its base, high functioning implies the fact that there is a low functioning. So that's just the term low functioning. You might say, oh, that's so silly. Who cares? Just the term low functioning can be insulting to somebody that is suffering from a mental illness. That we shouldn't be a high and low. You can talk about yourself, and maybe you're having a high or a low, whatever it might be, but we shouldn't put people into these boxes of low functioning versus high functioning and everything in between, because it's not black and white. It's not even gray, that in between. There's so much more to people that are dealing with mental health problems and mental illness. So much more than just high functioning and low functioning. The other thing to keep in mind when it comes to the label of high functioning, when it comes to mental illness, is that even someone who is high functioning, like myself, that doesn't mean we are always high functioning. That doesn't mean we are 24/7 high functioning, able to deal with our mental illness in a great manner, and to the point that most people out there don't realize that you are suffering unless you're talking about it. I'm a great example of that. As I said, I would be considered high functioning. I can usually go to a party and be very social and talk to people, and once in a while people find me entertaining. People pay me to go host parties, to get on a stage and talk to people. I'm pretty high functioning through that. I can put a lot of other things aside, even when things are happening, to do that. However, there are many times where I'm not high functioning. And coincidentally, today would be a great example of that. Absolute great example of that. I went into a full panic attack today. Full panic attack. Debilitating. Fortunately, not fortunately because she was sick, but fortunately my wife was home sick today. I was able to help with that, because usually I am able to stave off a panic attack until either my child is napping and then I can cycle through that, or my wife gets home. Today was not one of those days. There was no getting around it. I was stuck to the floor, rocking back and forth, hyperventilating, with my eyes welling up the entire time, and could not shake it. It took me a good 4 hours to cycle through that panic attack. And my wife is very worried about me. And I keep it away from my daughter, but even my daughter at one point, because I had to sit with her for a little while my wife was doing something else, and I was sitting there while she's eating lunch and everything. And even she looked at me, and she could tell, and she said, "Oh, are you sad, Daddy?" And I said, "No, I'm okay, baby doll." And that's what I call a nickname for her, baby doll. And she looks at me and she goes, "Just take a deep breath, Daddy. Just take a deep breath," because that's something I say to my kid. When she's, and not panic attack, but when she is frustrated or sad, or has bonked her head or something, it's like, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. And even my daughter was noticing I was a little bit off today. And that's why I bring that up, because even though I'm high functioning, I've I've talked to people, and obviously now with the podcast it's a little less common, but I've talked to people who have known me for years and they go, oh, you have mental illness? I didn't know that. It's like, yeah, I've had a mental illness my entire life, and it's been debilitating since I was a teenager. So we're talking 20 plus years of that, and yeah, that's just part of my life now. But able to hide it pretty well. And that's the high functioning side of it. So let's move away from using that term for the most part. Now, it could be okay at times, but also just keep in mind that it could be insulting. Could be insulting. Oh man, I lost. Oh no, there it is. You know what? I'm going to save this for next week. I'm going to save this parenting thing for next week. And this is the lies we tell our kids. And actually, Dad Fiction Podcast, they breached this a little bit, and I've been waiting to kind of throw it in there. But we are getting short on time, so I'm going to save that one for next week. We're going to put that in the parenting for next week, the lies we tell our kids. But I do want to share this with you. For those of you that are on the video, I can actually show it to you. This is a book that I just got for Christmas. It's called Punk Rock Dad. Punk Rock Dad. I've actually had my eye on this for quite a while now, and was waiting for someone to buy it, because this is one of those things like, like I could have bought it for myself, but I knew someone would enjoy buying this for me. People always complain that I'm hard to buy gifts for, which I'm always like, how am I hard to buy gifts for? Like, buy me a pair of Vans and I'm good. Like, that's all I need. A pair of Vans, something with a Muppet on it, you know, or some Boston Bruins stuff, and we're good to go. But this Punk Rock Dad, it's actually written by Jim Lindberg, the lead singer of Pennywise. Obviously, I haven't read it yet. I just got it. Just got it the other day. Actually, my wife ordered it for me. I got it for Christmas. Hadn't been ordered yet, so just got it. So I have not fully read it, but I will tell you, I read the first couple pages of the intro, and already it's one of my favorite books. But it is all about Jim Lindberg and raising three girls, which I've only got one, but I can relate to that. Chris and Bridget, you can both relate. They've got two girls, raising three girls. And being the lead singer of a punk rock band, and having to go to PTA meetings and drive his kids to gymnastics practice and whatever else, but then also taking some time on the weekend to go rock out in the pit, which is basically my life, except for the touring the world and being on stage in front of thousands of people and playing in a band. I do everything up to that point, but then Jim Lindberg's got me well beat there, because full-time dad here at home, in addition to doing this stuff, and I enjoy my punk music and my punk rock shows, and if I was capable of it, I'd go sing with a band like Pennywise too. So check out Punk Rock Dad. You can get it on Amazon. That's where that one came from. Probably elsewhere too, but I'm not going to sit here and endorse Amazon, because, Amazon. But that's kind of the place to get things, isn't it? Isn't it? It is. Yeah. All right. Oh, let me find. Oh, all right. I got a couple things here. I'm just gonna run through these really quickly. This was a couple things from CES that we know are coming out. First thing is this PopSockets wireless charger. That's right. You know those pop sockets that go on the back of phones? I don't use them, but apparently everybody in the world uses them. Like, I see them on everyone's phone, and you even see. It's funny because you see like videos and stuff on YouTube, and people are like, "Look at my phone," and you're like, "Oh, pop socket, pop socket, pop socket." And in fact, a lot of bands, like I see merch, at shows and online, and bands even make, like, Interrupters have a pop socket. And fair warning, if anyone's going to start hitting me with the stuff that's coming out on Amy right now, you're going to get put in your place. Just fair warning. That's for like the 5 people that listen, and we're prepared to start emailing me about Amy Interrupter. But the pop socket charger, this is a wireless charger that, the wireless chargers you put your, see, even Bridget has a pop socket that you just place your phone on. You don't have to plug it in. Well, obviously, with that pop socket on the back, it leaves a little bit of a bulge there, and people weren't able to use their wireless charging pads. So PopSocket came out with one that actually works with a pop socket. This makes total sense to me because so many people have the pop sockets. I don't get the pop socket myself just because I don't. And this could be because I believe the pop socket has to do with holding your phone, and I genuinely do have, I don't have overly large, like, Kawhi Leonard hands, the basketball player, but I have pretty big hands, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know, I just never saw a need for the pop socket. Samsung announced a new cool thing at CES, and this is a rolling robot called Ballie that runs your smart home. This can be connected to a lot of stuff in your smart home, and I was looking at this at first, and still, this is Robot Overlords. Sorry, Robot Overlords. Ballie the Robot Overlord. I'm okay with it. And I was like, come on, guys. Do we really need this? There was a couple things that I saw as useful. The number one being that this can sense if someone falls down in their house and they can't get up, and it can call for help. Brilliant. Brilliant. Like, can I get one for my parent? Not that my parents are pretty good, but a few years ago, can I get one for my parents' house? Definitely need to get one for my wife's grandmother, who's 96. And again, she gets along really well, but it's just one of those things. For someone with obsessive compulsive disorder, it's fantastic. I don't have to worry. It also can sense like a spill. Let's say you're not home and something spills, especially if you got a damn cat. Something spills, it can tell your like smart Roomba to go clean it up. So I get it. Go Tell It to the Wall always welcomes our new robot overlords, Bridget. You know this. Since episode 0, we do welcome our robot overlords. I'm just preparing for the inevitability. That's the thing. Would I rather live in a world without robot overlords? Yes. Am I preparing for the inevitable? Yes. Okay, you can tell I'm slurring my words now, and I'm not really slurring. It's the tongue twister stuff. Say robot overlords 5 times fast. It's not as easy as you think. All right, a couple more things. For those of you that use TikTok, I don't think we have a lot of 14-year-olds that listen to the podcast, but if you do use TikTok, they had some major security flaws that were found back in November. They have apparently been fixed as of December 15th, but these are major security flaws at the core of TikTok, so just keep that in mind when you're using any platform, but especially a TikTok that is relatively new. And here's the thing, if Facebook has all these security issues, think about the little, like, TikTok and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, there's going to be some issues. And I'm not saying don't use it, just be aware of these things. And Twitter is actually, speaking of keeping things away from you, Twitter is actually testing out some new reply changes in which users will be able to limit replies or not allow them at all. So, you see on Twitter, people are like, don't at me. You won't have to do that anymore. You can just set, when you tweet something, you can be like, nobody's allowed to reply, which I'm kind of like, okay, you're just going to throw this out in the universe and no one can, fine, I guess. I don't know. See, that's the thing with me personally. I'm like, come at me. I don't care. Make me feel bad. Like, I feel pretty bad on a daily basis anyway. You're not going to make me feel much worse than I do for the dumb things that I say and do anyway. So come at me. I don't care. But apparently people have problems with this. I see this on Twitter because I see some friends on Twitter that are, they'll like post something and they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. And someone's like, I disagree. And then the next comment's like, you're blocked. It's like, I know I was saying, like, don't get happiness in other people's misery, but, like, come on. There's a fine line there for sure. And apparently, Joaquin Phoenix, I'm not a big Joaquin Phoenix fan, but apparently he made a decision to wear the same tux to multiple award shows, and this was to save waste. Let me point out, Australia is literally on fire. And this is largely because of climate change. And I'm not saying having different tuxedos would save Australia. But the fact that he's doing something like this when all of Hollywood has to have a new tuxedo, a new dress, and all these other things for every award show is fantastic. Then, of course, we have someone named Megyn Kelly, whoever the fuck that is. I see her name around, but I think she's just someone that I don't care to have anything to do with. Megyn Kelly mocked him, made fun of him. Wear the same damn tuxedo, Joaquin. I'm not even a big Joaquin Phoenix fan. I have never really cared for a lot of his films or anything. Not that I dislike him, but I'm not like, yay, Joaquin Phoenix, the way I'm like, yay, Kevin Smith, and come at me, because like I recognize that Joaquin Phoenix is probably a fantastic actor and all this other stuff, but it's just not my cup of tea. But I do enjoy this, and I think it's great that he's wearing the same tuxedo to all of the award shows. And people like Megyn Kelly, whoever the hell that is, Megan with a Y, just shut the hell up. Find something better to talk about. Maybe reduce some waste yourself by throwing yourself away and not having someone else have to throw you away. This is what's funny, and I don't even know who the hell Megyn Kelly is. And I'm like I said, don't take joy in other people's misery. I don't think she's miserable. She's probably doing just fine. But I'm going to insult her if she's going to throw insults at the fact that someone's trying to save the world. Now I'm exaggerating there. But somebody's trying to save waste. Get the hell out of here. There's just no excuse for insulting that. All right, one more thing. Target fans, that's right. There was a lot of rumor recently that Target was going to partner with a Nike and Under Armour or an Adidas or one of those and bring their own athletic line into the store. Now we have found out that Target has created their own athletic line going to be much cheaper than all this athleisure stuff that you see. Lululemon, you ever step in that store? I'm pretty sure they charge you $5 just to walk through the door. And that's the thing. I tell people this. I own a pair of Lululemon pants. My Lululemon pants, most expensive pants I own. Most expensive pants I own. By far. It's by far if you don't count my suits. I do own a couple suits that aren't super cheap. But even breaking my suits in half, Lululemon, technically not. But Lululemon, still the most expensive pants I own outside of my suits. That's crazy. And you know what people buy them for the most? To sit around. They ain't even doing yoga. And I'll be honest, I don't work out in my Lululemon pants. Too expensive. I work out in some shitty pants I got at Target or, at Big Five down the street. And they're Adidas, but I, wait till they're on sale and I got all kind of workout stuff for me. So Target, keep an eye out for that coming out over the next couple months. We went way over by like 5 minutes. Thought we were going to go short tonight, but this always happens when I don't have an episode for 2-3 weeks. And as I mentioned, no episode next week. The wife's in China, but all kinds of crazy stuff coming at you next week. Bridget and Chris, I'm going to bug you because you missed at the top of the show, but I talked about the Instagram that's coming and some of the new concepts that are coming. So we'll talk this weekend. Oh, I'll see you Saturday. We'll talk. Well, no, we're not going to talk Saturday. You're going to be busy. That's Chris and happy birthday to Phoebe, Chris and Bridget's daughter Phoebe. Thank you, Bridget. No, I'm talking about the new stuff that's coming out that we got to promote and just see what you think. Their daughter Phoebe's birthday party is on Saturday, so happy birthday to Phoebe as well. But I will not bother you on Saturday because you're going to be busy wrangling kids and doing all this stuff. All right. That being said, remember all the new stuff is coming your way over the next couple months. No show next week, but new content coming your way just because it's literally sitting here on the server and I got to do something with it. And we will be back the week after for sure. All kinds of new stuff coming your way, so look forward to that. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at TellTheWallPod and at Magic Muppet. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. And of course, YouTube, head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall, and subscribe to our page. Most importantly would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Just remember that one, bookmark it, and you can find links to all those things I just mentioned, as well as our Patreon campaign. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Same wall place, same wall time. And remember, wall fans, no matter what you do, no matter who you're with, no matter where you go, no matter why you are doing it, always use common sense. All right, thanks everyone for joining. We had a light crowd this week, as usual. Thank you, Chris and Bridget, for joining. John, it was great having you on there. Thank you for that tidbit about Doctor Strange 2. You know, it's funny. I haven't seen Doctor Strange yet, and because I watch the Marvel movies when they're easy for me to access because I don't go to the theater a lot. I'm like the worst film school graduate on the face of the earth. But that's one of the ones I haven't seen, and I've also been told that that's one of the ones I would really like. So I'll probably get around to watching that. Outside of Deadpool, I'll be seeing Deadpool 3 in the theater when that finally happens. That's gonna do it for us. My voice is like just about to go. Didn't even mean to go for an hour. Like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and that's that. Look for some new stuff coming out over the next week, and most importantly, I think it is Bridget. You're right. That's the thing. I gotta watch it. I finally watched The Last Avengers on Disney Plus. I hadn't seen it until like 2 weeks ago or whatever. So yeah, I gotta get around to Doctor Strange. There's another one I gotta watch. I feel like there's another Marvel. I gotta go look through all the Marvel movies. But like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks. New content coming your way next week, despite not having a full show. And that's it. I'm so tired. I'll see you soon. Oh, that's what it is. And of course, bring on 2020. Facebook and their backward stuff. I'll post the photos. And don't let the door hit you on the way out. We'll see you in 2 weeks, Wall fans. And remember, if you've got any complaints, go tell them to Bridget.